Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at a hunter build that I've really been enjoying ever since the update. And it's a build with a newly updated Mask of Bakris, now that it works with the Lord of Wolves. And these changes make this build super strong. We have tons of damage resistance, tons of ability spam, constant ammo, which is a problem that some builds are running into, but not with this one. And also juice are ridiculous. I really do mean a ridiculous amount of damage with the Lord of Wolves. And I think this might be the best version of this Lord of Wolves Basket Bakris build that you've probably seen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't ready for some more builds. So let's get into it, and first of all, let's start with the exotics and some of the changes that they did to the Mask of Bakris. The Mask of Bakris got a couple of different changes. Now you can use it on our class, which definitely opens up a couple more builds with this helmet, and every time that you get a kill after the light shade is active, you will get back some dodge energy, meaning that after you activate the Mask of Bakris, you get a couple kills, you'll be able to activate it again, and we're basically just becoming into a real fallen captain. That's really what it feels like, and it's really insane because as long as you have 70 class ability energy, all you need is 2 kills to basically get your whole class ability back. So you use your class ability, get 2 kills, and then you can use your class ability again, get 2 kills, and then you use your class ability again, meaning that stacking up that damage and just constantly spamming your dodge to proc a bunch of abilities is something you can very easily do. It is really just the Fallen Captain playstyle. And the best thing about it is that it doesn't require too much investment into the class ability. All you need is 70 and you're pretty much good to go. Anything over 70 is not really going to help you. Now for an exotic weapon to really complete the whole thing, it is the Lord of Wolves. It still does tons of damage, but it did end up getting some changes just because of the way that the ammo system now works. And unfortunately, it did end up losing reserves. Now you can only carry around 170 ammo with the Lord of Wolves, but it does have 100 ammo generation, meaning that in just a couple of kills you will be able to generate heavy ammo, and with a couple of extra things that we have on the build, you shouldn't really run into too many ammo issues. You can pretty much just main the Lord of Wolves as your primary weapon, and as long as you're not just constantly firing into a boss, you should have plenty of ammo to go around to kill some ants or some of those bigger enemies. Especially because we're constantly going to be building up that damage boost, meaning that we kill things faster. And I think that was like the biggest challenge for this build, to get this to a point where you can just main the Lord of Wolves with the new ammo system. For the subclass today, we're gonna be on the Prismatic Hunter. Prismatic is just what works the best with Mask of Bakris. You can take advantage of so many different things here that you simply cannot with Arc or Stasis. Now for your super, you can go with either Silence and Squall or the Storm's Edge, but I definitely recommend Silence and Squall. It's much better for like PvE content, the freeze, the slow, the being able to stun those overload champions. It is just gonna be overall better. For your class ability, you can go with either Gambler's Dodge or Marksman Dodge. Both of these work pretty well, and they both will come back with just 2 kills from your Lord of Wolves. So it doesn't really make a difference, at least when it comes to like the actual cooldown of their ability. As long as you get 2 kills, you're gonna get both of them back. Marksman Dodge makes it feel really nice since you never have to reload the weapon. And then Gambler's Dodge basically increases your radiant uptime since you're constantly gonna be getting back some of those melees, so you're gonna be able to use your melee a lot more often. So that's really gonna be up to you. I play with both of them and they both feel pretty nice. Marksman Dodge, even though you don't have all those melee charges, definitely felt very good because not having to ever reload the weapon, it just felt nice. You really feel like a captain in that aspect as well. While with Gambler's Dodge, even though we have really high reload speed, it still adds a little more clunkiness in it since you do have to manually reload the weapon. But having a bunch of melees is also very nice because we're constantly going to be slowing and freezing targets, as well as having constant radiant. For your melee, I definitely recommend that you go with the Withering Blade. It slows, it freezes, it has 2 charges. It's going to be fantastic for this build. And with the amount of dodges we're going to be spamming out there, you're going to have this up pretty much anytime that you need it. So this is going to be a very easy way of getting some free radiant to give ourselves even more damage. For your grenade, you want to go with the Magnetic Grenade, and this is going to be so we can apply a debuff with our grenade. Just again, increasing the damage that we're going to be doing with the Lord of Wolves. It's really going to be crazy. For the aspects, we're going to have the double dodge combo since we're going to be spamming it so often. So we have Winter Shroud as well as the Threaded Spectre. So every time they use our class ability, we're going to slow everything around us as well as put down a decoy. And when we're going right in the middle of enemies, we're putting down tons of decoys and also just freezing everything. It is fantastic. And the Winter Shroud is also going to work pretty well with one of the artifact mods, also increasing the damage on our weapon just by being able to apply this slow debuff on an enemy. For the fragments, we're going to have Faceted On so we can get some radiant whenever we hit something with our power melee. Faceted Purpose, we're getting a bit more survivability. Every time they pick up a normal power, we're going to be getting Frost Armor, which works really well with some of the seasonal mods that we have, as well as just giving us more survivability. Especially because we're going to be making lots of orbs with this build, so as long as we can keep picking up those orbs, which we will also have a way to actually do very efficiently, we're always going to have Frost Armor, meaning that we're always going to be harder to kill. So we're going to have this, plus the decoys, plus all the slows, and also our next fragment, which is just going to give us even more damage resistance every time that we're surrounded, which is going to be pretty much all the time. Next, we're going to have the Faceted Dominance, and this is what gives the grenade the weaken. And the final fragment that we're running on this build is going to be the Faceted Ruin, which is going to improve our solar ignitions, the damage, as well as the aerial effect. And while this won't come into play with some of the smaller enemies, it can definitely help with some of those bigger ones. And on top of everything, it's also going to give us an increase to our weapon stat, which is the main stat we're going to be focusing with this build, and we'll get a little bit more into that once we get to the armor mods. Now for the mods that we have on this build, we're basically going to be using some solar as well as some frost armor mods, since we can get frost armor just so easily on the build. You also want to have Overload Shotgun, because might as well just make it so the shotgun can stun some of those champions. The first one you want to go with is actually going to be the Scavenger mod. This is going to make your Scavenger mod essentially just cost 1 energy, so it's going to make it easier to actually fit it into the build. For this middle column, you want to go with Fever and Chill. This is going to give us another way of activating Radiant, even if we don't have a melee, although that's pretty rare, especially if we went with Gambler's Lodge. But it just gives another layer of safety to the build, so you can always have Radiant and always have that extra damage. Frost Renew is going to be something that's going to help us with survivability. This is like our oh shit button. If we take a lot of damage and go into critical health where we have Frost Armor, it releases a freezing burst around us. And since we're always going to be like in the middle of a bunch of enemies, this is always going to hit something. So it's going to freeze a bunch of targets, as well as refreshing our Frost Armor, so we keep that damage resistance, while at the same time just freezing everything around us. This is not going to come into play all the time, since we do have a lot of things in the build that are healing you, and you have a lot of damage resistance, so this doesn't proc all the time, but when it does, it's definitely when you need it. Elemental Coalescence is just good to have on any build. It adds elemental pickups, and most of the time the ones we get are going to be solar sprites, so it means that we're going to be able to use our grenade more often. And then we have one of the most important mods for this build, which is Cauterized Darkness. Stasis or strand debuff targets take increased solar damage from more sources. This is great because we're going to be applying slow all over the place, all over the enemies whenever we use our dodge, or just by hitting them with our actual melee. The melee is really just perfect for this, because whenever you hit something with your melee, you proc Radiant, giving you extra damage, as well as putting a debuff on the enemy so they take more solar damage. It is just like the perfect synergy, and Cauterized Darkness is going to add some real nice damage for dealing with some of those bigger enemies. And for the final column, you want to go with Radiant Shrapnel whenever we're Radiant, or whenever we defeat Scorch combatants, both things that we're going to be doing all the time, because the Lord of Wolves is always scorching as long as they're hit firing, and we're also going to have Radiant use so much, so this thing is basically always going to be online. Whenever we defeat those combatants or you do damage, they're going to be releasing solar projectiles that deal damage, as well as Scorch on impact. And this is going to help just get some more ignitions out there, scorch more enemies, just put some more damage out there. It's a nice little extra bonus, especially because it has so much synergy with what we're already doing. And then with your final unlock, you can go with either Shield Crush or Elemental Overdrive. Both of these are going to be pretty good. Elemental Overdrive will give your weapon even more damage whenever you pick up a Fire Sprite, or Shield Crush is going to increase the amount of uptime with your grenade and your melee. Yes, it's actually going to affect both, because we're going to have Frost Armor all the time, as well as Radiant, so it's going to be improving the damage and the recharge rate, or both of those abilities. Shield Crush is really the perfect, artifact mod for this build. Now let's take a look at the mods that we have on the build, as well as the stats that we're focusing. Like I said before, you want 70 class ability. You don't want more of it, because that's really all you need, and you don't want less of it, because then you will not be getting your class ability with 2 kills. So 70 is just like the perfect spot, and it shouldn't be too hard to get. And with the rest of your points, you basically want to throw it into weapons. And the reason that we're going for weapons is so we can get more damage, And also because the more weapons that we have, the bigger the chance that we get some of those larger ammo bricks and just get more ammo from our bricks. So it's really going to help with the ammo economy as well as the damage, so you definitely want to throw a bunch of points into weapons. I would say aim for like at least 150. I have 140 here, but once we start going with some of those mods that we have on the build, it's more like 160. So as long as you're around there, you should have a pretty good time with the extra damage and also with the extra ammo. Now for the helmet, you want to go with Solar Siphon, so we can make some orbs with our Lord Wolves. Dynamo, so we can get some extra super energy every time they dodge into some enemies. And lastly, Special Ammo Finder, so we can get some more meter every time that we get a kill for our special weapon. For the gauntlets, we don't really have anything special. We have Momentum Transfer, Heavy-Handed, as well as Fastball, so we can throw our grenade a little bit farther away. So we can make orbs in case we get a kill with our melee. And then, so we can get some grenade energy every time we do some damage with our melee. Our melee is the thing that we're going to have a lot, so we just want to basically spam it, and so it helps out with our abilities. For your chest piece, you want to go with Concussed Dampener. Whatever resistance you need, this kind of changes depending on the activity that you're doing. And then lastly, a Solar Ammo Generation, which means that you're going to be getting even more meter whenever you get kills with your Lord Wolves. For your boots, you want to go with Weapon Swamp. This is going to give you plus 20 to weapons whenever you have Armor Charge. And since we're going to be making so many orbs, this is just something that we constantly are going to have on. Solar Scavenger is going to give us some more special ammo per pickup, just again making sure that we always have ammo in our Lord Wolves, and we can pretty much main it as our main weapon. And lastly, Absolution is going to reduce the cooldown of our abilities whenever we pick up Orbs of Power. And again, since we're making so many orbs, we're constantly taking advantage of this and getting abilities back faster. And lastly, for the class item, you're going to want to have 2 Reaper mods, and the reason that we have 2 of them is just so it reduces the cooldown in between actually being able to use the mod. And since we're going to be using our class ability as much as we are, we definitely want to have 2 of them just to make even more orbs. And then you also want to have Powerful Attraction, so as you're spamming all those class abilities, you can actually pick up all those orbs that you're actually creating. Without this, you might actually lose track of all those orbs, and in the middle of just going around and fighting a bunch of enemies, you're going to want to stop to actually go pick up some of those orbs, and this just kind of makes it a lot easier. The quality of life that you get from just putting Powerful Attraction on is just so high. And the gameplay loop for this build is very simple. You dodge, you kill enemies. Whenever your dodge has recharged after killing 2 enemies, you use it again to get more damage and extend the duration of the buff. You kill some more enemies, dodge again, and you basically just keep repeating that, all while making tons of orbs, getting a bunch of super energy, constant radiant, constant abilities, and whenever you see some big enemy, you hit it with your melee, debuff it, and then just melt it with all your damage with your Lord of Wolves. It's a very fun and effective build that really makes you feel like a captain. And with all the different ammo things that we have on this build, it basically takes care of the biggest problem with a build like this one, which would be the bad ammo economy. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video, hopefully you guys like it, or give it a try. Like always, there's gonna be a link in the description below, in case you guys want to give it a try yourself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.